Hi, everybody. It's Patricia Coughlin. I am back from a really heavenly month in France. I was attending an artist residency and just painting to my heart's content. Having extended time away like that, I think, is so important. I had a lot of time to reflect and actually became clear that as much as I love painting, it's actually not enough for me. And so while I'm going to stick with my decision to stop the training groups, I am going to continue working one on one with patients. I still really enjoy it and get a great deal of meaning from that practice. I wanted to respond to a request from a subscriber who wanted to know whether to persist with the defense phase of treatment if the patient is still somehow not seeing what they're doing to avoid feelings. And should they just go around that and just poke around for feelings? And I think this is a really terrific question. And while there's never an all or nothing and always or never kind of answer to this, and you have to be case specific and use your intuition and clinical experience in general, I would say do not give short shrift to defense work. If we look at long-term follow-up, ISTDP really stands out in the long run. Almost all psychotherapy has a relapse problem. So even CBT, which is often touted as the gold standard, they have something like a 50% relapse rate. So once treatment stops, the patient goes back to their previous difficulties. How do we actually get deep and lasting change? And it really looks to me like it has to do with this persistence around defense work. When patients habitually rely on defenses and avoidance strategies, they are simultaneously suppressing or preventing growth and healing. As long as you're avoiding dealing with what happened and how you feel about it, you can't move through it. And so it seems to me when we really take our time, and again, it does require persistence in many cases, to acquaint the patient with their defenses, with their conflicts, that they clearly had feelings about their husband's affair, but they get anxious about those feelings and laugh it off and minimize and rationalize. And what is the consequence of that, right? So you have to persist. Very often a person will not see initially what you're talking about. Many patients fuse and confuse their feelings with their defenses. They'll talk about their feelings in an intellectual manner, but remaining emotionally detached. When you point this out, they'll say, but I'm telling you about my feelings. These are my feelings. So again, you have to persist in, yeah, you're telling me about it. You're kind of explaining it to me. But what I'm asking about is the lived experience. How are you actually feeling this grief, this anger in your body? So some of it might be your language, that you're not being clear enough about what you're asking for. So you do want to say, what are you feeling, in your body, not in your head. And again, you might have to persist. I remember one case, a woman who had persistent and really debilitating headaches. She was 36, I think, when she came to see me, and she'd had these since she was 8 years old. And they were severe enough that she had had a couple of hospitalizations even. And so she came in one session and she complained that she had had this terrible headache for 2 weeks and medication, nothing seemed to have any impact. So I began to inquire what was happening. just before the onset of this headache. And it turns out she had gone home to visit her family. And what became clear is that she had an enormous rage toward her father that was evoked. When I asked her, and she could even say, I'm furious with him, but as she said that, she'd go, oh, my head, oh, my eyes. It was instantly getting internalized and back on her. So I asked her, now you're enraged with your father, but you're getting the attack, right? What does that anger want to do to him? And she was clear, I want to smash his head, him and her brother, smash their heads together. And she said, if icicles could pierce, I want to pierce his eyes. Ouch, ouch, right? I mean, it was dramatic. And anybody looking at it would see the instant redirection of that rage, but she didn't see it. I mean, that's the function of defenses, right? It's to avoid these threatening feelings and impulses. So I had to go over and over it and catch it the moment it happened and say to her, look at this. I mean, there's a one-to-one relationship between what you wanted to do to your father and what you're doing to you, right? Do you see this? So it took 3 or 4 rounds. And then she finally said, oh my God, I see it. So we had to clear that out before she could actually experience these feelings toward him. Otherwise, if you do that, especially with patients who have depression, somatization, panic, they're actually going to get worse. So please do not try to go around defenses to just, as Davinloo would say, fish for feelings. Do that defense work first. Persist in helping the person identify, right, that instead of feeling their feelings, they're doing something, rationalizing, denying, laughing, whatever it might be, to avoid that feeling, and that avoidance strategy has negative consequences. And just take your time with that until they can see it, and then willing, even though it's not going to be easy, willing to abandon that in order to experience their feelings. I often say your treatments are going to go faster in the end if you go slower in the beginning and really do this thorough work. So I hope that helps, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.